Hello, everybody on this October, what is it, October 16th. Holy shit. October 16th, 2022, Golden Shower Sunday stream. Is me, Forest Mommy, joined by my co-host Hex.
What up?
And our guest today is Brian McWilliams.
What is happening? Good to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you because I've never really talked to you much, so.
No, I know. It's been Instagram post stalking. There's been some that going on. As I said before the show, my theory now by actually talking to you that you are an AI created, as I said, like the Japanese hologram singers that everybody's going crazy for, completely dashed. I was actually really hoping for it, but what can you do? We're outside the Matrix now. There's no going back, Neo. There's no more.
That's why they had to ban me, is because I'm like too real. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. How many times have you been banned? What are you getting banned for? I don't even understand it anymore.
The original time, my original Forest Mommy account, they never pointed it out specifically, but supposedly it was because I had a tasteful nude as my profile picture. Supposedly. And then I had in my other account, my Desert Daddy account, for a long time, and then that one got banned, and I think because I said the groomer word. And then since then it's been like 3 of them, and we've even like done all the hacker shit, and it's still they get, so it's like, fuck y'all, if you don't want me there, then whatever.
Well, you guys on like there's Retalk, which is a good one, but that's for like communities. We just added to Rumble because I don't know if you guys are monetized or not on this stream. The Lions of Liberty stream has been demonetized. We've been demonetized for years. We can't ever get monetized. It's insane. They like every time we try to do anything, they dig up shit from 3 years ago, and they're like, "That's misinformation," and strike us again. So it's just we've just given up on it. It's just impossible.
Yeah, so you're building all the back. That's what we've been doing too. So Paul, our producer, he's been really good with helping me. That the Rumble, locals now, Odyssey, obviously. So today we're on YouTube and Odyssey, and eventually I'll get to Rumble as well. But yeah, it's like it sucks too, because I was all trying to get off of social media. I was like, I'll just Twitter and YouTube, and then they fucking ban me off Twitter, and I hate having to get all this other stuff going, but it's what it, but at least you can make money now a little bit, so
yeah, slightly. Well, now you gotta go old school. Remember like Soy Bomb, that guy like just write shit on his chest. That's where you could get off social media, but to make a statement now you got to soy bomb it, and I think that's where we're circling back around to.
Oh yeah, I'm like the last time, because the last time I got banned, with which we were doing all the tricks, I was in Wisconsin. I wasn't even fucking using it. I wasn't on it on my phone at all, and they banned me still. And you know what? I was like, I'm about to Laura Loomer this shit. I'm gonna show up at Twitter headquarters and be like, what is so bad about me? But Hex keeps getting banned too.
I've been banned like 8 times.
It's like, what are we? Us? Like, what do we do?
That's the thing. It's fucking mind boggling. I mean, do you have excitement over Elon Musk taking it over? Do you think it's going to change anything?
At this point, I think it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, if he actually cleans house, the question is going to be, it's kind of like when Trump got into the White House, he's like, clean out the swamp. But everybody under you still, swampy. Like if everybody at Twitter that's still working there is still the same tweet bots, then it's going to be the same shit. Like, he'd have to clean house 100%. And I don't know if he's got the ability to do that.
That's what we think too, because we think like employees don't like us. Me and Heck.
Right, yeah.
Especially because we're normal people who, during all the COVID shit, I didn't get on Twitter much till COVID shit took off. And then like normal people without any connections, I'm not part of anything. Hex isn't part of it. And like, I feel like they saw like how normal people can get their voice out. And they're like, wait, whoa. Like we can't have that. We can't have normal people getting their voices out, because then other normal people will think they like have a voice too, That's
where Twitter's kind of interesting though, right? Because I was just talking about this on the show, in that the PayPal thing, like PayPal, that thing went out about the user agreement, right? And then everybody flipped out, and it was on Twitter, like instantly people were like, this is fucked. Everybody jumped out like, yeah, this is fucked, screw it. And then they backed off instantaneously. But that's the benefit of Twitter, is that you can get on there and do it so quickly that they can't react in time to really like squash it. Like you can see stuff trends, and then exactly. Then by the time they do the damage control, it's already too late.
Yeah.
That's why I like Twitter in general, because I remember I gotten off Facebook and I was like, whoa, the news is on Twitter way faster than anywhere else. Like even just recently, you guys remember that there was that black dude going around Memphis live streaming him shooting. and I don't watch.
This is why Hex keeps getting canceled.
That's like they never even brought that up in the mainstream. Not that I watched the mainstream, but I know they didn't bring that shit up. But because they were on Twitter, the same with the Waukesha parade dude. Like that, we saw that as it fucking happened on Twitter.
Yeah.
But they didn't fucking talk about it anywhere else. You know?
Yeah, rise of citizen journalism. Well, then you got assholes like Brian Stelter, who was out there before he got fired. Yeah, the talking potato man. Before he got fired, he did this whole episode on CNN where they went to a school, and he's like talking about it like it's the greatest thing ever. They went to a school, and there's this whole organization of the old mainstream media outlets that have banded together to create it's like the Coalition for Real News or something. And they go to schools, and he literally goes and they make a presentation about how anything you see online isn't real news because they know they're being undercut, undermined. People get it faster direct from the source than citizen journalists. And they're making every effort to squash it and go out there and be like, you can't believe it, kids. Don't believe your eyes. Don't critical think.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I saw one where a guy asked some questions at one point, and he kind of gave some bullshit, some bullshit answer. He's like, "Well, we'll talk about it after because I think he brought up like a lie he said, and he was like,
it's like all the narratives
Trump,
always
blah,
go
blah, blah,
one
bad,
way.
Bad. Yeah, they're all bad.
It's funny. You mentioned don't critical think thing. I think it was last year or earlier this year, maybe last year. There was this screenshot going around Twitter of 4 different headlines from 4 different news publications. And then they all said something different, but all 4 of them basically said critical thinking is a problem. Don't do it.
Right.
Because, and that stuff can be fake. So I went and looked up every single one, and every single one was real.
Of course. Yeah. What's more beneficial than a population that has no interest to think, right? Just told, don't question. Just keep moving forward, keep obeying. I mean, that's where I think so much of the cognitive dissonance comes around, especially in an era where people have broken up their family units, right? Over COVID, over Trump, over trans shit, breaking up families. They can't trust their family units or their friends that were so close anymore, right? But this is all by design, because if you design people to break up, your first recourse, your first source of what's real, what's truth, what's reality is your family.
Right.
So if you break that up, now these people go, okay, where do I have to look? The government, the mainstream media. And so they get this narrative put out in there. And then when that narrative breaks apart, as we see it happening, the cognitive dissonance is so severe that they don't know what they're doing. And they don't want to have to critical think. They just want somebody to tell them, no, what you thought was okay. You're a good person, for forcing people out of business, for fucking people's lives up, for kids, transitioning and being blocked from having orgasms ever in their lives. You're a good person. Don't question that. Just keep on moving forward, man.
And if you do question it, you're just listening to those weirdos on YouTube. Why would you research your own stuff? That was the funniest thing over this last year. I would get attacked. People were like, why are you even looking up your own stuff? And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm not college educated. I thought you go to college to learn and research and look shit up. And all my college educated friends are making fun of me because I'm looking shit up. What the hell happened?
I think at this point, college is no different from, K through 12.
Yeah.
You just go there to be told what to do and how to think, more or less. And you got to pay for it.
Right. Heavily, too. And then, get into debt, keep the machine going. And, it's just read and recite. That's all it is now. And and what's funny is, too, is you look at people within the college spectrum that do want to make it a little bit of a better experience or environment, question people, give all their alternative options, or to even hold students accountable. And they're breaking all that down, where it's you can't even have students be held to a specific standard anymore. That's being torn down in K through 12 and college. And this is all by design because, again, if you don't have accountability, then the money's free to flow. Nobody can question, the whole parents thing of you don't need to know the curriculum of your kids. How parents, and these schools get more money for failing kids than succeeding kids, how they want to get rid of standardized testing, how they want to get rid of the SATs. This is all intentional so that they don't have anything to be accountable for. Getting rid of grading systems, which is why LAUSD now does pass fail. So it's okay, so I can't literally see how well my kid's doing by any margin other than they either move on or they don't, which is purely subjective. So why would a teacher be failing people left and right if they can just go, push it forward?
Right.
Well, math is racist, so we
Obviously.
can't be talking about that. Hex doesn't.
Why
know
else
any
would
math.
Asians be so good at it? The rooftop Koreans were so good at math that it literally shot out of their guns and killed people.
Well, after we just went on that rant, Brian, do you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I like to do a solid 11 minutes of just yelling before anybody gets started. So I'm Brian McWilliams from the Lions of Liberty Network. My podcast is called Mean Age Daydream on that network. It used to be called Electric Liberty Land, but I rebranded it recently, and I can explain why about that if you'd like in a little bit. But I've been in the space for a long time. Lions of Liberty was one of the OG, not only podcasts, but back in 2008 when Ron Paul was running, me and Mark Claire, another buddy of mine, John Odermatt, who's still in the Lions of Liberty Network, we had created lionsofliberty.com. Did a lot of blog posts, a lot of breakdowns. We had Monday with Murray Rothbard articles. We'd write articles about the movement. And just basically break it down as we went. Articles about Rand Paul and how he was sucking when he was running back in the day. So we had a large following online on a website called thedailypaul.com. Then that went adios. I don't know why. It was incredibly popular. The guy just retired it. But Mark Claire created the podcast Lions of Liberty, which is what he's very well known for. Mark's no longer with Lions of Liberty. Went on
as of recently,
very recently. All good though. All amicable. All good.
You got to move on. Look, life changes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Hex, you cannot leave me though. Hex, you are not allowed to leave.
I have no intention of leaving you.
Good. It would tear this world apart. But yeah, so I've been doing my podcast, and as I said, called Mean Age Daydream now, probably about 6 years. And the Lions of Liberty podcast goes way back when, about 8 or 10 years, one of the first ones in the space. So yeah, as you mentioned, we're influenced a lot of people to get into podcasting. Nothing better than inspiring people to get into the industry and take away your listeners and do it better than you. So here we are.
We always laugh because half the people we've had were like, either you guys is either Lions of Liberty or the Fadcast guys. Or
I love the Fadcast guys. Yeah.
But it was good, like how there's this bubble, and then there's like other bubbles that grow from it, and then Forest Mommy was nothing until the COVID stuff happened, and then it became something, so it's just nice to know you can grow things. And
yeah, exactly right. And I think that's where like I mentioned, the changing, a lot of what I like to talk about now, because I used to just do only bitching about current events, right? And that's what a lot of libertarian, liberty centric people do.
I get it.
Right? It's a lot of bitching about shit. So I rebranded to this because I firmly believe that we have to change the way we message. And we have to change it from being just whining about shit, complaining, saying, hey, we're spending too much. These are all true things, but we've been right about everything for the past 40 years.
And nothing's changed.
Yeah, where's it gotten us? Nowhere. So it's I have this idea for a book I'm working on called Dreams and Resentment. And I think that encapsulates how you get people's attention, right? Resentment is what half of policy is based upon people that are mad because they don't have as much as the other guy, pay your fair share, all that kind of shit. They're resentful of people that are more successful. The other half is what people want to attain, which is dreams of look, what can we promise you? This is why socialism works, the combination of dreams and resentment. This is why a lot of the GOP policies can get forward in that, okay, we're going to bring back the old America of the 1930s, and that kind of shit. And so I'm trying to create a new way in which we can deliver our message that is keying into telling people how they can live a better life and basically promising them a better future, which I don't think anybody's really doing. So that's my shit. That's my my biz.
But I get it. That was my whole thing too. Is look, you can be this weirdo and still be free and still not be. That was what was hard with the Corona shit, because it was that's how a lot of us got bigger on Twitter and stuff too, because we were what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? And now we have to kind of move on, although I keep not moving on, especially on my Instagram, because I'm you guys can't just move on. I literally emailed. So I used to do a lot of volunteering. I'm very cliche, trophy wife, real estate, volunteer wife. And they wouldn't let me go to a meeting because I wasn't vaccinated. And the meeting was in a barn. It was in a barn. So
but were the cows vaccinated? That's the question.
Exactly. And they are, because I always laugh because half of my volunteering is in agriculture, and I'm they have to show the papers to bring their animals in, and you all were wanting to show your paper.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's so crazy. But I remember I emailed him just the other day, and I was hey, now that there's actual proof, which is probably not on mainstream, but that we all knew this the whole time, that these vaccines they didn't even test it against transmission. And that's the reason I wasn't allowed to that meeting, right? And I was like, are you going to like issue a formal apology? I said that, right, which bitchy, but whatever. But I'm like, are you going to issue a formal apology for discriminating against me? And he was like, well, we were just going with the information at the time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
we were following the science, as they say.
And I'm like, when in history, look in any time in human history, when has the information at the time ever justified discrimination against people, especially through the state? Never. Never.
Yeah, this is the only time in history where they actively the first step was to lock everybody down, to deny them any chance of moving around. And then the second step was to force this mass inoculation of the population. And as you said, there's no way that from the get-go they can decide that this is the proper course of action. Like, there's a reason why you wait and see in almost every circumstance that exists, especially with medicine. I mean, in almost anything in life, you wait and see how it's going to shake out, whether it's business or economics. But no, with medicine, we're going to just jump in and decide that this is the way forward, that we have to destroy everything, lock it down. And then, there's no apologies coming because they keep making excuses. And my favorite one is, well, it would have been worse. That's my favorite one, right? Because you know why? Because it means fuck all nothing. You can say it for literally anything. Well, would have been worse. Like if I walk outside today and I slip on and fall on my ass and break my tailbone, and then I realize, well, but if I'd gotten in my car and driven down the street, well, it could have been worse. Like, okay, well, I guess it could have been. But that's for like COVID as the justification for everything. It could have been worse. No, fuck off.
I got vaccinated and still got COVID and was still bedridden for
right.
But it could have been worse.
Well, yeah, how people would literally die that are vaccinated with COVID. How is it worse? Would they have been zombies without the vaccination? Would COVID have reanimated them stumbling around? No. There's no way it could be worse.
It's like that from Arrested Development where they make fun of like poly couples and are like, it doesn't work for anyone else, but maybe this time discriminating against people will actually work, And I'm like, it's just so bizarre how we even got like, obviously we all know because of social media and all the brainwashing and bullshit, but it was just like, how do you say we were doing the best at the information at the time? When in history has what information has said that it's okay to discriminate against people ever?
Right.
And state sponsored, especially, right? Like,
never.
Well,
and also, like social media too. You talk about just like the impact of it, because since everybody, like back in the day, you could be, let's say, a racist. You could be a closet bigot. But you know what? Probably kept it to yourself. You could be, you could have the stupidest ideas in the history of the world. But you're only talking to a couple people. You weren't really putting them out there for posterity, right? Where you can dig them up and find them. Every asshole now, during every crisis, every, whatever, somebody dies, some war happens, has an opinion they put on social media, right? Yes. So now they're scared to walk anything back because it's out there, man. You look like a jackass. So it's like, it's the incentive to double and triple down because the stuff you would have kept to yourself, or at least had been limited damage as far as the stupidity, as the way it spreads, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon style, it had to be person to person. Now it's just accelerated to the fact that anybody can see it all the time. Like you made your profile picture, you with a big get vaccinated symbol for 8 months. It's hard to walk it back.
Yeah, the internet is forever too. Like people screenshot stuff like that.
Hell yeah, man. That's I wonder. I mean, that's why they're trying to get me to run for governor in California, right, where I live. And the Mises Caucus, like, you should run. I'm tempted by it, but at the same time, I'm
just do it for even if you know you're not going to win, just do it.
Well, there's so much shit. Like I used to do stand-up comedy. I used to do and I still do. Like, there's so much shit that I've said on the podcast. All they have to do is make a super clip of me saying, out of context jokes, and it'll just, there's no chance. And then it'll ruin my career.
The more people like you and like that happens, the more we can change. Because I know I've changed mine even through my Instagram with people I grew up with who were super far left and then kind of came over and they're like, yeah, actually you can be, guess who's a normal person is the person who wasn't groomed since high school to be in the GOP or the DNC. Right. It's the normal person like you who did and you said shit, which probably whatever you said was like raunchy, but it wasn't wrong or whatever, that's how it should be. But
yeah. Well, it's also something where like I would root for like I not that this is a good thing to root for necessarily, but I think for the culture to get past this point of like cancellation, I would root for people to get canceled that were good people, just and like accelerate the curve, because like the boiling frog theory of if we all just people are getting canceled, but they're only the bad people, and only once in a while it's just Alex Jones, who we should probably talk about the almost $1 billion fine Alex Jones got, which is $300 million more than Pfizer got fined for the whole OxyContin thing. But the more people get canceled that are good people, that celebrities get canceled for dumbass shit, the more people are going to realize that this is something you just can't allow it. It's impossible.
Right.
It's an impossible standard to live up to, especially when they change the standard every 3 days.
Yes.
Yeah. And no one looks into shit. Like, especially with like the Louis C.K. I'm like, because like I love comedians, and I'm like, you're gonna get in some weird shit if you're going back to their rooms, okay? That's just like the fucking deal. Like, what did you fucking think? And I'm glad he's coming back now. Like, I'm glad, like,
he's all the way back. He's all the way back. And well, I wonder too with the Louis C.K. thing, right? I mean, it's not like he just whipped it out. He did ask. And I mean, if you ask, if that's his fetish, if his fetish is whipping his dick out in front of chicks and jerking off, how do you do that unless you ask?
Right.
And as a girl who's like done her shit in her day, why are you going back to the room anyway? You know what's gonna fucking be like, why you're going back to the room unless it's like a big party, like. Yeah, all the Me Too shit went crazy. And I remember even seeing it within some of the Liberty circles early COVID too. And I'm like, y'all gotta stop this shit. Like, this is not, if you have a problem with someone in the moment, speak the fuck up in the moment. I don't care, women, if you feel like you're being, you have to speak up in the moment and right after. Don't come to me like 8 months later and tell me some shit, because then fuck you, because it's not. It's something else then, like it's not. It
looks opportunistic, and it looks opportunistic or vindictive, where you're like, all right, well now this person's achieved a level where I can take them down. Whereas, before it wasn't worth my time, but it's like, all right, well, if it's about justice, shouldn't you have spent the time back when it happened? Clearly it wasn't about justice. Clearly it's about retribution then. It's vindictive.
Yeah. Even on like, there was even small time stuff on Twitter. I remember I didn't know the people that they were like bringing it. I'm like, why is this public news to everybody on Twitter? Like, why wasn't it taken care of in the moment, and then it becomes a whole thing. And, we've they all went after the comedians. I'm like, hello, comedians. If you're a little pervy, you hang out with comedians. That's like, they're fun. Like, that's
exactly.
Why were you hanging out with them if you're not even like open-minded or whatever,
Comedians are typically depressed, insane people, and oftentimes are a lot of comedians not the best looking guys in town necessarily either, so they've got to find their ways. They're funny. They lure you in with the humor, so then don't be surprised when they make the moves. Like, my favorite was Aziz Ansari. Not that I think he's that funny. It was
awkward sex. That's all it was, for her.
Yeah, and he even, there was like a moment in that story where she's like, well, I was making out with him, and I asked him to stop, and he did. And then we watch Netflix. You're like, okay. He seems like a perfect gentleman. Did he buy you breakfast the next day? Did he give you like? I'm sure he's the champion of like, he did everything right. Like, by the collegiate checklist of like, get consent every step of the way. He did it every step of the way, and then still got canceled. So
these bitches trying to show off they get fucked. Really, like, I'm like, fuck you.
I gotta know what Hex is writing. He's like drawing. What are you drawing? Are you doodling? No. Are you drawing sexual cartoon figures?
No.
Oh, is it the cat?
Yep.
No, he has a little kitty. Just
okay. Oh, I was like, I guess look at it. All I see is him just like fiddling around down there. I'm like, I don't know what he's doing.
It's a freaking cat.
She's his little baby. And by the way, congrats on your most recent baby, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. Are you in fact officially a mommy? Is the forest mommy because you're a mother of forest only?
I'm a childless, but I'm not like hey, if you're gonna have kids, have a mom and a dad. At least two. I'm a very conservative tradition. I just didn't do that with my life. I'm just like
no. Okay, I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying no pressure, but yeah. I've got 2 kids now. The second one has been a terror. Just a fucking.
He's like
terror,
a month old now.
She's a little over a month old and just screams nonstop. Like, she's either crying or screaming. And I think it's because she has acid reflux and a baby, and she didn't even have to get it like I did through years of alcoholism. She's just born with it. So good for her, ahead of the game. But
You
yeah,
probably gave it
she's
to
been
her.
tricky.
I think James.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Like passed it along. Somehow I've inseminated my wife with alcoholism from the womb. But yeah, it's going fine. I'm just tired. Like I get a little cold, like I said, because my older daughter got sick and whatever.
That's what kids do. They get you sick. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the normal thing. That's the normal
Yeah.
way of
But
doing
it does. I mean, I'll say this though. Talk about kids just to round this part out. It does make you think a lot about where things are going. At a lot more of thinking about the future rather than the moment. As much as you need to stay in the moment with kids, it just makes you think about 20 years from now, cancellation, the spy state, the authoritarian state, the social credit scores, just the shortages that are happening and all this other nutty bullshit, with energy consumption. It really does give you a sense of urgency to do something. Whereas I will say before I had kids, I had much less urgency. I was like, well, I'll talk about this philosophy and, I think it's a good thing. And now I'm trying to tangibly think of ways to move the culture forward and try to push it in that direction because it scares me. It literally scares me.
Yeah, I grew up in public school and stuff, and I never really had much of an opinion of it. But the last couple years, especially being on, I'm like, holy fuck, what the? And my mother was a public school teacher, and even she's like, yeah, I got out the right time. I got out the right time. I don't know what the fuck's going on now, and it's all the 90s conservative mothers fears have come true. We've talked about this tons of times because I'm open. I have drag friends. I have my best friend's a cross-dresser, and he voted for Trump. I have all these friends, but it's
he voted twice. He went once in his male outfit and once in his female outfit.
I'm like, you should try and get two personalities out. But it's just crazy how we were talking the other. I'm like, kids know how to play dress up. They don't need drag people to come to school to teach them how to play dress up. Even if a boy dresses a girl, whatever, they know how to fucking do that shit without some 35-year-old man dressed as a sexy girl telling them. There's all this crazy shit going on.
Well, and it's always the parents that are forcing this shit. It's never because you actually want your kid. If you want your kid to learn about drag queens, you can tell them at home. They've got, you can watch them on TV. You can describe it to them. There's books. To take them to a live event, a drag strip event, you're doing it for one reason. And that's to virtue signal to all the other people there and to tell everybody that you went to this thing to give them the sense that you're such a fucking good person.
And when all those moms could have just went to the club at night and made friends with trans drag people at night at the nighttime adult only space, but they're like, no, we're gonna take our kids there too. And it's like, what the why? What we've talked about this before. Do I feel like pedophilia is I'm not a religious person, but I'm like, there is this demon and it is pedophilia and it's grown because everyone wants to blame the teachers right now. But I'm like, listen, I hear stories every day of family who did it. It was, conservative Christian family members who did it. And it's and it never got brought up. And it's just now that's why it is how it is now. It's because it for some reason it got protected in some place,
some reason. I mean, this is going down conspiracy lane, but I honestly, truly believe that a lot of the people in politics, without a doubt, are pedophiles. I think that it is completely organized
when
where
you
they
have all
protect
the
each
power
other
and
and
money,
it's leverage.
you keep going.
And it's leverage. Yeah, exactly. It's human nature almost when you have everything to push taboos farther and farther and farther. Now, whether or not they're born into pedophilia or it's brought into the conversation somehow, I think it's also used, with Epstein, as a lever of power, as a blackmail thing. You're one of us. Yeah. Now you know our secrets. You can't turn on any of us, or we'll expose you as a pedophile, or just kill you, Hillary Clinton style. One or the other. Pick your poison.
No, it's true. It's true. Because I'm in crazy lifestyles, or I was before COVID, and all those stupid idiots went crazy with the COVID shit too. But I'm like, I see where people would, if they can be in an area where they're allowed to do certain things, they would push. So I'm like, right. I can see why all these people have gone so crazy being in control of the world for so long. And then, they use it for blackmail and whatever. But it's just so frustrating to me too, especially like I said, with they're only blaming the teachers. And I'm like, no, those teachers are so open because someone probably did shit to them growing up and no one said anything, and it's just drives me nuts.
Yeah. Well, my mom also was a public school teacher retired. I think it's retired early. So she started 50 or something and then slowly lost her mind being bored. But she also, though, is now conservative. I mean, she voted for Trump. My dad voted for Trump. They voted for Ron Paul, though, before that, to their credit. But yeah, I just don't know how many teachers. It's hard to lump everybody in. Like you said, it's not every teacher. I'm sure there's a lot of teachers that are vehemently against what's happening. But in the big cities, that's where these things are happening more often than not. It's social media, it's brainwashing, it's what's being pushed by the left. It's the entertainment complex, which again has its own problem with pedophilia in a lot of ways. But it's definitely something where I think we're getting to a tipping point with the general population where people are just kind of saying enough is enough. The whole drag kids thing, I think was such a stupid blunder. It almost reminds me of this idiotic video of these eco nut, vegan activists that were dumping milk out in a grocery store. And, they're like, oh, good, great publicity. It's like, no, you're making people hate you. And you're setting the movement back. And the same thing happens with like drag or trans, where when showcases.
They go too far and then people go.
Yeah.
And there's degenerates like me and all my degenerate friends who are like, what the fuck is going, like, this is,
right.
We do this shit with adults consensually. What the fuck are you doing? Like, we're
Exactly.
very open-minded, degenerate people. And we're like, what the
Me
fuck
too.
are you doing? Like,
me too.
Yeah.
It's like never met a drug I didn't like, and gay friend, gay friends, gay family, love everything about, don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. As long as
I was friends with trans people before it was cool. Like,
right, yeah, trans it up. So, but that's the thing, right? It's like pushing it so far, and even talking to my friends, like you said, your best friend, talking to my my cousin about this issue, and we all agree, like, yeah, do what you want to do, man, but keep it away from kids, and don't force it on people, because you're going to get a natural rebound effect. People know when shit's being forced down their throats, and the natural reaction from anybody is to go, no, fuck off. Whether it's justified or not. So it's not helping.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of us too, like I was raised in the 90s where I could see like conservatives were a little weird about shit. But I was like, whatever. Like, like it's a lot of people who are in the middle and they can see both sides. And then they're like, but like, no, you're pushing way too far. You're like, kids have a kid who doesn't know about it. Oh, this is what I hate too, is they're like, kids are dressing up as cats at school and shit now. And they're like, oh, your kid identifies as a furry. And I'm like, you motherfucker. A furry?
Do they even tell them?
Is an adult kink. Okay. Your kid is just a weirdo attention whore because you never said no and they're dressing up like an animal. They are not a fucking furry. Like, stop saying that. Like, they're just. Your kid isn't drag. He's just dressing up like a girl. Like, stop putting sexual shit on kids. Like, and we've all seen all the like weird books they've been pushing on kids and stuff, like. Let them learn how to give blowjobs with kids their own age eventually, like stop this like weird shit where you're.
I think Ibram XXX Kendi has a book about that, by the way.
I think so. Yeah, they all do. Like, I just saw another one where this lady was like at a school board meeting and she was like, if you have kids, let them leave because I'm going to read this stuff from a book that's available to kids, and it was, I'm like, what the, this is porn. This is porn, which I'm not against, but not for fucking kids,
like a year or two ago, I seen this tweet for some chick who said that there should be porn that's suitable for kids.
That's disturbing. I mean, I could see
she got absolutely decimated for that, rightfully. But it's like,
what the fuck, dude? Yeah, that's a disturbing. Again, grooming, talking about getting kids, sexualizing children, like that movie Cuties. Remember that movie Cuties that came out on Netflix? Like that kind of stuff, like getting children. I mean, even in LA, I'll see kids walking around, and I don't know how old they are because I'm 42, so everybody looks super young to me now. But they look like they're 12, and their asses are hanging out the bottom of their shorts, and I'm like, I can't believe they let the kid out of the house. Maybe she changed clothes, but I can't believe you.
I totally get my mom now. I totally get her. I'm like, I would never fucking let them out of the house, even like that. Yeah. And I never even tried that, and I got my ass beat for that.
Yep, seriously. I mean, and I think a lot of that, the parenting is people are checked out insofar as, and I wonder about this too, like the impact of social media. We're all on our phones all the time. If you do have kids, and I have to stop myself, put the phone down. How much detrimental effect do we have not spending time? If it's 10 or 15%, it's probably more than that. It's probably 30% compared to prior generations of parents. Because people are just on their phones all the time, not paying attention, not talking, not interacting with the kids, finding out what's wrong, if the kid's depressed. Like you talk about people shooting up schools. You talk about the loneliness, the depression, the suicide rates, the bullying. Well, it's because parents are so checked out. How do you know if your kid's depressed or not? You're probably looking at your phone. You're probably tweeting something. So I do wonder how much of an effect that's going to make on people.
I had like
Yeah.
single parent friends who would like let their kids be on the internet till like 3 a.m. in the morning. And I'm like, do you even know who they're like talking to? Or
Right.
like,
Yeah, how many stories do we hear about? Oh, it's like a little 12-year-old. They played some video game. They made a friend with someone who turns out to be some like 45-year-old creep who wants to invite them over so they can do whatever.
It's all of our listeners. You're half the lines over the audience. Lured in by me, 42-year-old creeper.
I'm almost
at 3
that.
a.m.,
I'm 30.
3
I'm
a.m.
almost
on the chat box.
39. I'm old too. It's all good. Hex is the youngest one here. No, but it is like funny, especially even like things like school vouchers. I never really supported just from a sense of fairness. Like if you don't have a kid and you pay property tax, but now I'm like, fuck it. Like we want good teachers in our free market because we're all free market cap. You know, when you want there to be competition, you know,
Yeah.
but they're like, what the fuck? I have friends who became teachers and I'm like, I don't think you should have become, and half of them want kids of their own and they're trying to like not just teach your kid the teachable things, they're trying to mold your kid like a parent should mold a kid, you know? And it's like, what are you doing? It's just so
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, okay, so the property tax thing, I also hate the property taxes for kids thing. Even though I have kids, it still pisses me off. Like there's a measure to increase the budget for my local schools, which are good.
Every year.
I'm voting against it. I'm still voting against it. But there is something to be said though for, as you said, like, okay, if you give people choice at least, you can have faith that the kids in your community then hopefully will be turning out a little bit better, a little less brainwashed, a little bit, and if nothing else, give them the chance to succeed in a different variety of ways. Like I think there's danger, just like with the COVID vaccine. Everybody getting the exact same vaccine at the exact same time is a bad idea. Everybody being taught the exact same thing in the exact same way is a bad idea because you need to have variation. You need to have natural variance so that you get the best result, so that you do have evolution and the best people going forward in Darwinism, and that the worst ideas are going to fall the wayside and the best ways and the best philosophies and the best
natural
hierarchies.
Ooh.
Yeah, hierarchies are real. We need hierarchies, and the best way to get them is by having people choose how they want to live, and then look at my kids. Yeah, exactly. See what happens.
They'll sit there. All the public school teachers like, we're not paid enough. It's so shitty here. Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, then why would I send my kid to you? You're literally saying you're shitty. Why would I send my kid to you? Like,
yeah.
And if I give you more money, you'll do a better job. Then get the fuck out of this position because you should be doing a good job anyways.
And they definitely won't be doing it better. The whole concept is teaching is you get into it because you love the job. Same thing with social work, whatever else. You love the job. Yeah, if you're not getting paid enough, then shut the fuck up and quit. And also, you're getting paid more than enough. Our parents were both teachers. My mom got paid more than enough.
And she could work during the summer. And she can moonlight during the summer.
Exactly. And she didn't have to pay for me to go to childcare over the summers because she was home. Think about how much money you save. And you get off work early. And you get fucking more vacation days than anybody else. And pension out the ass. It's such bullshit that these people fucking complain about it. It makes me furious.
Me too, because I'm like, go start your own school. Go start your own school and see how easy, or hard thing, because they have no idea. And not to say like I know exactly what it's like to teach, but I just from growing up, because the school I went to where my mom taught, I had to go with her I went with her every morning to that school specifically, and I went to that school. So like I helped her set up her class, and you see, and you're just, and then all these people.
You helped her set up the things that they complain about they don't get paid for, like putting up turkeys on the wall.
Yeah.
God forbid you spend a few minutes putting up a turkey on the wall. I know.
We would go to like extra bookstores to get. I remember my mother, who you would think is like the most, she's very conservative Christian looking boomer woman. And like, I remember she specifically bought with her own money, like stuff to teach about slavery and all this stuff, like the actual, like some more in-depth stuff that wasn't just.
She bought several slaves, brought them into the classroom. They were unpaid teachers' assistants. It worked out great for everybody. The kids learned a lot. The slaves learned a lot.
We're still doing it. We're still buying the slaves and shit. But no, it's so funny. I was laughing about that today because all those stupid kids who are like gluing their hands to the art.
I know. Ugh.
And then in one breath, they'll say, we should be able to not work and you should just feed us, but we're going to go do that shit.
Well, let me ask you, though. I was thinking about this because I work in public relations for a career, right? Podcasting is my hobby. I do screenwriting and podcasting as a hobby. Public relations is my career. But the Van Gogh thing, I'll say I had a problem with it. I still think it's going to get them more hatred than likes, but at least the message was coherent in that They said, we worry about preserving this art rather than preserving the humanity that exists right now. I was like, all right, you know what? Solid message, but still, you come across as a couple of little bitches.
Yeah, because the people who can do that are like spoiled people who don't have to work
Right.
for a living or whatever.
Right, exactly right. Like to be able to risk it all and lose. Normal people can't do that. Only little assholes that are going to some elite private school can go and risk it all and not have to worry about going to jail for a long time or any repercussions down the road in their lives or a felony, all this other stuff.
Right.
We're all felons here.
Felons and friends. Well, everybody commits 5 felonies a day or something.
Yeah. So, committed plenty in my life. And I'm white, so, it's fine. What's
the mask in the background for? Oh, yeah, good.
Oh, the mat. It's just I have all sorts of I'm in this is my accessory room, so there's costumes and stuff everywhere.
Okay, it's not like a what's that Tom Cruise movie with
I've lived that lifestyle,
Eyes Wide Shut.
But it's not like that exactly. So
it's where I met my husband.
I mean,
most people, there's certain states where almost every woman meets their husband in an Eyes Wide Shut party. It's just how it's done here. It's like a debutante ball.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or we've
debutante balling
before. Well, because that lifestyle used to be secretive and cool, but then all these stupid fat poly people made it public, and it's not even cool anymore. It's just
not that I'm for more laws and regulations, but they should have a law that to be poly you have to be under 200.
That's what I swingers minimum. Should have to be hot. That was the whole fucking
point. Do you want to swing me? I don't know. Sorry, what's that?
Do you do comedy? Do you go do stand-up comedy at all still, or?
I you know what? I'm gonna get back into it. I did it. I was doing it regularly. I had a comedy show that I ran for 5 years. I used to do I'd go to the store, the big comedy shops in LA, like the Improv, the Comedy Store. But it was just I got into it a little too late, wherein I already had a full-time job, and you got to be there at 3 p.m. to try to get the open mic spots, and you got to stay there till 2 a.m. to try to network. And I was after about 2 years of doing my gigs, and not that I get booked and it was fun and I had a good audience response, but it just became clear. I was I'd have to give up everything to do this, and I'm not willing to do that right now. I'm not willing to go wait tables. So I decided that I'll just do the independent comedy thing. So I ran my own show and I did other independent comedy shows. And now I think I'm going to bring it back. It's called Comedy Ahoy. And I think I'm going to bring it back at a local bar here. So yeah, I'm going to start doing it again. My man Adam Choate, who is with the Mises Caucus out here in California, has a show I did recently. So yeah, get back into it. It's a lot of fun,
Mises, I guess you can't see that Mises Caucus pins up there. Mises Caucus.
No,
Hex isn't in, but he would be if he could be.
Yeah.
No, the comedy thing is funny because I even have friends here in Colorado, which is where we have the Comedy Works and stuff. Mm-hmm. And but even out here in Colorado, when you get as big as a certain point, and he's moved to LA recently, and now you have to work the whole thing out there. But the thing is where you make your own show and you just do that over and over. And that's
if you either say an hour off air if you want to shoot me his info. When I book my show, I'll get him on because my show, we'd get a good 60 people in the room. It was a big show where we'd actually get some good name comics in because it was a well-respected show. A lot of people coming out. So if he wants to come do my show when I get it going, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'll send it to you on Instagram actually because he's on Instagram. He's my friend because I've met Robbie now because Robbie did a porch tour out here and stuff. But I remember Robbie.
Yeah. He did at my house too. Yeah.
Yeah, he did at your house. And he was like, "Well, Brian was awesome," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. Those guys are cool out there."
Yeah. Well, we do our hate watch now. You saw that. Yeah, with watching the Clintons.
One, but
yeah,
because I was banned. Well, I can still watch, but I just didn't. I was on vacation.
Can't comment. Yeah, but yeah, it's fun. Robbie and I had a great time, man. He's a great dude. And I was talking. I think Adam Nutter. I was talking to Adam Nutter too about trying to do a show out here and get Robbie and Adam out and put something together.
You should get Kyle Ruff. Do you know who Kyle Ruff is from out here in Colorado?
I do. I met Kyle just briefly though. He's little with a mustache, right?
Well, it's funny because he's
mini Burt Reynolds.
He's the same height as Robbie, but for some reason, and he's actually very muscular too. But they're two completely different people. No, but Kyle's cool too. We're gonna see him. All the Mises people we're doing a Mises meetup to see him next week too. So
oh sweet,
Kyle's cool.
Yeah. He opened up for he and Robbie opened up for Dave at
Yes.
in Nevada.
You know, he looks like what did people say? He looks like what's his name? The Queen guy. He kind of looks like the Queen
Oh,
guy.
okay. I was gonna say Super Mario. He's also got that going on.
He's funny. He'll put a dress. He puts the taxation as theft dress on and stuff. Like he's Kyle's pretty cool dude. I met him because of Robbie too. When Robbie came out here the first time last December, and Kyle opened up. And then Kyle's from Steamboat Springs, so like he does comedy out there all the time. So I've always loved comedians and stuff, just because like I'm a little weird and you guys are a little weird. Like
you gotta
it's
be.
just like easy to talk to people who are like a little bit weird. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what's so funny. Oh, go
ahead. No.
Well, I was just saying, just about comedy right now. I was thinking about this recently, in that it's become so stratified. In that, talking to people, you used to be able to do comedy for anybody, and it was just if it's funny, it works, whether it's left or right. But like I was talking about earlier, with this complete disconnect as far as realities, people legitimately, like, it's hard to write comedy now that can reach people in different political spheres because they legitimately exist in a different reality. And to write comedy, like, you got to take something that is agreed upon as this is real, this is true. Then you flip it on its head. Then you can take it off in different directions. Then you can riff off it. But if nobody agrees on what's real, then it's hard to find a standard that you can then say, now I'll go into the surreal. Now I'll go into like the goofy shit over here, because these people they might 100% believe the goofy shit. So
that was what was weird with all the woke stuff too, because it was like, you had all these comedians who wanted to like get to a certain level, and they felt like, oh, we have to, they're like, oh, Trump, Trump. Like that was all comedy was for a while.
Literally the Daily Show. The fucking Daily Show was, which, by the way, that jackass is leaving. Trevor Noah's leaving the Daily Show. And I'm wondering, I'll probably talk about this week on my show, actually. I'm wondering if if their replacement, if Comedy Central's going to go, we got to find somebody that's not a leftist hack to save this show. Because the Daily Show's ratings aren't great. So I wonder if they're going to try to make the Daily Show great again.
Do you know who Jeremy Todd is? He's in Liberty Toy, but he posted a Photoshop picture of Dave Smith doing like the Daily Show.
That'd be awesome. I think Dave would be fantastic at it. I can punch up his jokes for him. Be dynamite.
He has a whole like community, even like me. Like I'm such a normal ass person. I have a producer, Paul, here. Like we have this whole community. Like you can get people who are like, and like you just need that little bit of a bump. I love
there that. He is in all his glory.
And I feel like that's the one positive thing about social media is there is like people who are like, oh, there's these normal ass people who are saying that was during COVID, Twitter was a lifesaver for me because I was like, oh my God, there are actual people over here who we may not just agree on everything. We live different lives, but they're like, yeah, this is not right, because everybody was so far left with everything for so long. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like I was called alt-right because I didn't agree with the COVID shit. And I'm like, how am I alt-right? Like, I'm a swinger, for fuck's sake. Like,
everybody was labeled alt-right. And actually right now, alt-right now, what sucks is there's a legitimately, I would say righter wing than I am, group in Arizona they call themselves the Lions of Liberty, and they are like poll watching. And all these articles are being written on like the Arizona Republic and stuff, and people are now coming after our Twitter. We're like, we don't know who these fucking people are. Leave us alone. But it's like, I don't know. We're too lazy. We're not going to like cease and desist letter these people.
Maybe some of those people at least come to you and like they'll stick with you.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, good, free publicity. It'll draw people over. Maybe they'll find us by accident. See.
It's been such a weird world.
Twitter's a blessing and a curse. It's definitely like you could find your people here, but at the same time, you're also like, I know for a fact I am fucking shadow banned. As I tell you, the Lions of Liberty YouTube channel is like, I don't know, like 6,500 subscribers. Nobody sees shit. We don't get published for anything. Like nobody sees my fucking tweets. Like it's all shadow banned so badly. So Twitter, while it's a blessing and a curse, like I said, because it's like quick response for stuff. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm so desperate to see if Musk can change it, remove some algorithms, and see what the response rate is. Because for me, it's more frustrating than anything to go on there at this point in time, because it seems like I'm just screaming into the void.
Yeah.
I just want to post sexy pictures and I can't anymore on my Instagram because I have family following me. So I'm like, God damn it. No, if he gives me my original account back, the Forest Mommy account, like
Yep.
I will believe in him till the end. Although I won't let him put no shit in my brain, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
like,
What was the original Instagram with the sexy pictures with Forest Mommy? It was just you licking trees? Or you?
so
what
the
are you
original
getting
Forest
into?
Mommy, I just started getting big with the Liberty Community and Forest Mommy,
Oh,
and then
okay.
like around last Christmas, I just switched a picture that I've had as my avatar. It's just like a tasteful nude where I'm sitting in a forest. It's not even like erotic or anything. And that's apparently why I got banned.
Yeah, it's
And then
really
I had
odd.
the other one.
Especially because Twitter's got fucking pedophilia.
You're allowed,
People
yeah, but
share
not
on
in your
it.
profile picture.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can't have it in the profile pic.
And I'm
That's
like,
in the
I
user
get it
agreement.
because there would be dicks in every profile picture because we know men. Like there would be a dick in every profile picture, right? So
I mean,
like,
I wouldn't even put mine in there. I don't know, any dick.
But it was stupid, and I'm like, why can't you know how they will ban people for a minute and they'll say just delete that post and you can come back? And I'm like, why can't I just change? Why did I get permanently suspended? But I think it's because it's bigger. And then I had the other account for a long time where I had it named Terminator Mommy, but it was still me. And like I had that one for a while, and then I said groomer, and boom, gone. And they still haven't given me a reason.
Just minutes after you did.
Yeah, and then
that
Hex
sucks.
kept getting banned too with me.
That's extra fucked. Yeah, that's extra fucked. I guess because you were retweeting, so they're like, these accounts are linked.
Well, he got hit. Hex got. I think because the same thing with Hex, because he's like, I'm not part of the narrative. I have my own individual thought, which he made many. I mean, Hex had really good threads on how gun control came about because of racism, and then like all the it's when they went after Clarence Thomas with the whole Roe v. Wade, but there was like 5 or 4 other white people, and they never said shit about them, but they only went after Clarence Thomas. And then like we had some weirdo who got Hex banned one time because Hex said blow me.
I literally got banned for telling someone to blow me.
That's so
he lost his shit and claimed I sexually harassed him.
And was he right though?
No, but then we found thanks, Paul. Then we found this dude. That dude was a
Did
weirdo.
I get tipped $2? I don't see it in my account.
We got $2 tip from Paul, our producer, who's working. He just paid to work right now.
Yeah, he's paid to take part in the episode. So again, you guys are able to get money off these streams. I can't get shit off my streams.
It just happened. It took us over a year to get to this point. It just happened where we got monetized, and it'll be pulled. No, we already got. Do you know who Eric Abinant? Do you know who Leela Hart is?
I don't think so. Leela Hart.
So she's been a lot with Chrissy Mayer and stuff lately.
Okay.
She's really short. She has scoliosis, so she's like short and she's disabled to some extent. But she's a comedian, and her husband is a comedian, and they've been doing these documentaries on comedy, voter fraud, vaccine stuff. So we had Eric on a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we were talking about vaccine stuff, and they got pulled. That was our first YouTube pulled.
Yeah. It's insane the shit that keeps getting pulled down now about vaccines. When it's incontrovertible reporting now about the vaccines not working, about transmission rates, about efficacy. It's insane. And I think people are seeing it. I legitimately think people are like, this is bonkers. Everybody knows the truth. Everybody fucking knows the truth. Like I said, the only argument is that it would have been worse.
And Biden and that one, Rachel Maddow, they literally said out, among other people, they said out loud, this will stop transmission. And now we have, and if you post on Instagram, you post the video or picture of that CEO from Pfizer or whatever saying,
testifying
no, we never
in Denmark.
That gets fact check. And I'm like, that's the motherfuckers. How are you fact checking them? Like, it's so fucked up.
It's during a hearing. Yeah, it's the guy's own words. Well, it's like when Libs of TikTok gets banned. It's like they're using their own words of these people. How can you ban them? How can you what's the problem here? It's them doing it.
Yeah.
You cannot have a fault. You can't find fault to this. It's not even them saying this shit.
Yeah. It's fucked up, but I'm hopeful. And I think even with the whole Alex Jones shit too, I think there's some other people who are like I have nothing. I'm not. Oh, thanks, Vincent.
He was
$0.
tipping me. I am the muse.
the.
You saw how tight the shirt is on my nips.
I know, and I have my. I'm not sponsored by Sheath, but Sheath underwear. Everybody, go get some.
I was arguing with Robbie about Sheath. I don't like Sheath. I don't
a
like
lot
the
of
rubbing on my
dudes
dick
don't.
shaft.
And I get that where it probably would be weird. But the girl stuff, the girl Sheath stuff is amazing. It's amazing.
Do they have like a trifold where it goes up between your labia, between all the folds? Is that how
they just
Sheath
have
works?
regular underwear and like booty shorts and shirts and like sports bras for girls where it's all the same, but they have good stuff for us. So what was I about to say about that before that?
You go, Kat.
Fuck. Paul, what was I saying? I don't remember. Anyways, yeah. I don't forget. Sorry. Yeah, you should come out to Colorado and do comedy, Brian. You, Robbie, and Kyle should do, because we have a place
I would
here.
love to. I mean, it's a short flight from LA. If you guys put together a show, I'd be glad to come out and do 10, 15 minutes.
It could either be in Denver or in Steamboat where Kyle is. We could do something. My
wife's got a friend there. She could come out and see her friends. Yeah.
And by the way, your wife, you got a cute wife, by the way.
I know. People are surprised by this fact, but I'm 6'3", so the baldness doesn't come into play when you're taller than everybody else because they're looking up at you.
I love bald dudes. I've always loved bald dudes.
Good.
Anyways,
keep it up. Spread the word.
It's all good.
My wife's a cutie pie. She's also libertarian just naturally, which is good. Although she gets pissed off if I start going off on tangents to her, she's like, shut up. I don't give a fuck. But she comes to her own conclusions.
No, you're contractually obligated to listen to me right now.
You will listen. It's like the opposite. Like she gets into bed when I'm trying to sleep and just talks about bullshit to me, and I'll do the same to her. Oh, you're trying to fall asleep? Well, let me tell you about what the Fed did and why it's causing all these issues in Ukraine. Yeah.
Love it. We need all the other white bitches to be libertarian now. That's what I always say. I'm like, how the fuck did
maybe the show will actually change because it's
their
fault that things are fucked to begin with.
Exactly.
So, that's like they're the worst. Like I've been on a couple podcasts where like white women, what the fuck, especially like suburban dependent white women, which I basically am, and it's like, how are you so taken by your fucking Facebook friends? Like, how are your Facebook friends telling you, like, it's just so bizarre to me. But I've always been kind of
pack. It's like the pack hierarchy, the pack mentality of that group of like, because it's like, all right, everybody's got to be the most virtuous, the most caring, the most whatever, right? With these women groups and the parenting groups, it's always whose kid's doing the best, who's got the best shit. Well, it's the same thing with virtue signaling. It's the same mentality of that. That's just how you rise to the top of the pack in these little mini societies.
And it used to be like keeping up with the Joneses, like you got a nice car, you had a nice house. Now it's like, well, I have 5 trans kids. So
that's literally, you nailed it. It is keeping up with the Joneses, except with fucking leftist bullshit. It's the same thing.
Weird.
Yeah. How many signs can you put in your yard saying that science is real and that you don't want to shoot black kids? I don't need any signs. You know why? I don't go out shooting black kids. I don't need a sign.
I saw like 40. There's all these like 45 to 55-year-old white women with BLM bumper stickers, and I'm like, bitch, are you like got a guilty conscience? What are you talking about? You live in a fucking gated community. Why do you have
exactly? It was like my favorite is still like, we believe water is important and science is real. It's like, no fucking shit. Thank you.
The sky is also blue.
Yeah, air is good. Don't eat feces. I'll put that sign in my yard too. Things that are obvious, everybody already knows.
Oh Lord! All right, we've been going an hour. Do you guys want to keep going? What do you want to do?
We can go on.
Whatever you need to do, Brian. You can hang out.
I can do another. I'll do another 10. I want to get a little bit more whiskey. I'll do another 10, 15. I just want to make sure I'm up by the time my baby wakes up, or my wife will get mad. So give me a minute. I'll be right back.
All right.
I'm gonna get something to drink too. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll stay here and hang on to the show, everybody. I'll keep track with the chats. Mikamas. Just found like $2. Nice, Vincent. Thank you. It is, and it is funny because it's the white women who are. So there's the white women who are the like strong, independent women, whatever. But then there's like the white women who are dependent, and they're like, it's such a funny, as somebody who's lived all the different ways. Everything, I've done everything except be a mother, and it's just funny to see these stupid people be like that. Paul, you can pop on if you want.
You could be a mother anytime you want, Force Mom.
We can play mother. We'll play making a mommy out of me.
I prefer doctor, but mom's cool too.
I know. That's why I was laughing. I'm like, doctor is like, that's what I played growing up. And I'm like, thank God it was with people my own age. Because like later there'd be all these like, oh my God, Jessica did this shit to me. And I'm like, you were my age. It was fine. Good. So basically, bitches. Hey, Daniel.
Daniel,
What up?
just to
Yeah.
let everybody know, there will not be a post-shower stream today. I'm coming down with a head cold, so we'll be back at it next week.
How do you feel right now?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Just it's head congestion, stuff like that.
You can just tell your body's like fighting something.
Yeah, it's like it's coming.
I get it.
All right, Brian's back.
All right.
Ah, came back to talk to the most interesting guy on the show, and he pieced out. I was going to make fun of him. He said he could tell his body's fighting something. I was going to say, well, it's not fat.
Burn! No,
Booyah!
Paul has helped grow the Forest Mommy channel like crazy. I love Paul. And we've met in person. So a month ago, me and Hex finally met. And then I have another show I do on Thursday. So I met her and her husband, and Hex was there. And that's why I love Twitter. It's just like some of the connections I've made have been like, I would never have made them anywhere else. You know?
I was going to ask you, and this is what I'd love to have you on my show to talk about being a good-looking libertarian lady online and the experiences of that. Is it mostly good? Is it bad? Is it a mixed bag? Because I'm very curious.
It's been all good for me, but I also like I'm different because I'm not like I wasn't looking for someone to date. I wasn't like like I'm in a different like level where I was like I'm just gonna be fucking myself and crazy. So yeah, anytime I've loved it.
Has anyone ever sent you a DM of their dick with "End the Fed" written on the side of the shaft?
Ooh, no, not with "End the Fed."
And would that be the way to your heart?
I wish.
Would it be the way to your cervix at the minimum?
You know what's funny? I think because I was kind of openly more of a sexual person, I didn't get as many dick pics because I think the dudes who send that, they wanted to shock someone.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
They wanted to be more of a shock, whereas like half the ones I got, I ignored. And I didn't get that many anyways. It was just like, I feel like it wasn't as fun to send them to me. So.
Well, somebody was talking about, God, I'm trying to think what podcast it was on. There was a gal who did like dick reviews on OnlyFans, and she said that the guys would get mad because if she didn't say that they had little dicks, that was like offensive. Like that was the whole thing. They sent you the dick, and you're supposed to be like, "Oh, you got a little pathetic hamster prick going on," and they wanted. They didn't want you to like,
they wanted
like,
the abuse.
Humiliation kink.
Yeah, real.
Right?
That's real.
Exactly.
There's all sorts of random stuff like. People would be like, "Oh, I'll send you like I don't have OnlyFans or any of that." Like people be like, "Hey, can I send you money for this or that?" It'll just tell me you'll beat me up, and I was like, "I'll beat you up," and then like $50 in my Venmo. And I was like, "Okay."
See,
like
this is women talk about the patriarchy, and this, exactly. Fuck this patriarchy bullshit. You know, maybe we should usher in. Heck, so you with me? We'll usher in a new era of feminism as long as men can. Just get paid money for being like, I'll beat you up. Usually it doesn't work well for guys when you tell a woman that.
I know, but it is getting better nowadays. Because I remember I had a friend, we're not friends anymore because she's a judge now. But like she was a black woman, black lawyer, and she had married a white guy. Her second husband was white too, but her first white, so my black lawyer friend had married a white man and got divorced, and she had to pay him alimony because she was making all this money, so like things are equaling out a little bit that way. But I'm also like, just let people, like, I'm not against the OnlyFans necessarily because free market capitalism, you can't like, and if people want to send me $50 to tell them, like, what the fuck am I supposed to say?
Fucking A. I agree completely. What people, if they want to pay for something stupid, let them pay for something stupid.
Yeah.
And make it, you could argue against it, make laws against it. It's not going to stop them from doing it. So might as well just have it.
And they came to me offering. It wasn't like they came to me asking to pay me money. So I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Exactly.
But
amen.
Yeah, everyone's always like, I have an OnlyFans in real life. I don't need to do the OnlyFans thing. But like, if you want to send me money for putting a sparkler up my butt, that's fine. don't
I
care.
do have confidence if I ever did make an OnlyFans that I would make a lot of money off.
I have some straight dude friends who they clean up. They
Yeah.
clean up, and all they have to do is jack off. That's all
Yeah,
they do.
I mean that's literally what it'd be. If I didn't have kids and I was just like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going down, I would 100% do it. Because like I said, why not? I wouldn't have to show my face, you know?
Yeah.
Just schlong
If
it.
someone
and-
wants to pay that money for it, I mean, like when I turned 30, I'm like, I'm gonna strip just to see what the hell it's about. You know, my life was fine. It was like I needed it. I'm a single
Yeah.
mother with chest tats and shit. But like, I was like, you got it. Like, why would you fucking not? And as I feel like a lot of like libertarian minded people, you can like say, I wouldn't do that or I don't accept that. But hey, it's free market capitalism. So
Yeah.
like, what
Well,
the hell
there's
else?
this-
Like, who
There's
gives a
this
shit?
whole sub movement now within libertarianism, and it's what I don't know. Maybe it's offshoot from the Jordan Peterson thing. Maybe it's Dave Smith talks about. He's like, stop masturbating and have sex with your wife, which is fine. Except, what if your wife still doesn't want to fuck you? What are you doing?
Or your man, or
Yeah.
your man doesn't want to fuck you. That's what whole thing.
No.
Women don't talk about this much. There's a lot of married people where the man doesn't want to fuck the women anymore.
Yeah,
and
well,
like
you get bored
it's-
of anything. That's just a law of life. You get bored of anything, so you got to,
need the
you mix it up
sparks.
mentally. It's not like if you're exclusively doing porn, that's a problem. But that's probably more of a problem with a person's addictive nature or persona,
right.
and other things in their life. It's not every person to say that oh, stop like this. Like, and people say this, so it's some revelation. Stop watching
It's always the
porn.
people
You're
who
like-
have a problem with it themselves. I feel like because I've
Yeah.
even seen girls who are like, I'm like, oh shit, she just broke up with a dude who is addicted to porn. Because you'll see what
Yeah.
she says, and I'm like, it'll be so crazy, and I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. You were with the dude who is addicted to porn. Like,
Yeah,
it's, you
right,
know.
exactly. Mix it into the mix. And it's not like, and I get the argument too that are saying, okay, well, it's ruining the experience for men the first time they expect women to do all this crazy shit. All right, but again, you're probably talking about people that live in a fantasy world anyway, that have very little chance of getting laid in general, and the reality they inhabit is not going to be every day going out in life in general. I'm sure things are not as they expect them to be, and they have a disproportionate expectation.
Right. Yeah. Not just that. Yeah. And anything that you're addicted to, whatever it is. Like,
Yeah. Well, so MB, hold on. Can you share MB's comment here? Okay. So MB says, yeah, people are bored, but I think it's a mental illness when a man doesn't want to bone his wife. All right. Couple counterpoints to that. Number one, what if she's a cunt? That's number one. Number two, again, after a certain amount of time, man, it's just human nature to lose interest in the regular, in the repetitive. And unless you're, that's where it's on people to spice it up in the bedroom and do other things to keep it fresh and interesting. But I don't think it's unnatural to expect a man, especially when men are kind of programmed to want to spread their seed around, to lose interest in that after a while. But to say that they should stop watching porn and then still, like, it's just not going to make you want to bone your wife anymore. I mean, maybe a little bit, but you're going to get tired of that after 2 times too.
I've known plenty of men who weren't porn watchers and they still never wanted to fuck their wife. It was it was just a thing. And some of them, it was, they saw a baby come out of that vagina. So like, it's just different, which it doesn't have to be, but for some people it is. Like,
I mean, I
there's
watched
a
my first
Madonna
birth,
whore-
and honestly,
Madonna
the
whore
only
thing.
way I can have sex with my wife now is if I put a fake baby up in there at the same time. It's the only way I can come.
No, but that Madonna whore thing is real. Like, I know, it doesn't have to be where you're unattracted by her, but she's raising your child. She's not the whore.
Mhm.
She's the Madonna, so there
Right,
are things
yeah.
like that happens. And I really hate when they're like, all men are just fucking sex crazed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, no, first of all, even like masculine men are still going through the low T shit and still going
Right.
through, like, we're still in this lifestyle. We are all in, there's just so much to it and sexuality in general that it's like, it's never as easy as people say. But I also know it's not just the women saying no. There's plenty of men who say no, who are like in long-term relationships and stuff, marriages. So that's all I say. I try to like tell people, I'm like, no. It's not just the women, but the women never want to say anything because then they're like, oh, he doesn't think I'm attractive. And I'm like, it's not about that necessarily. It's just life, and there's just so much to it. Like, it's crazy.
I think it's also like so much advice people give They give this blanket advice without knowing anybody's situation. Not that they need to know everybody's situation. And there's some blanket advice that's probably good. I don't know. Don't beat each other up. But at the same time, it's like, I worry that when people give blanket advice, if it's a book, if it's a tweet, whatever it might be, people are, instead of working on the real problems in the relationships, are just going to glob on to that as like, all right, well, I'll just try doing this fix rather than concentrating on actually fixing myself or remedying what's really wrong in my relationship or with my personal well-being. And instead just be like, well, I stopped jerking off every day. So, things are looking up.
You shouldn't. As like a
I'm
natural,
perfect.
healthy thing, you should jerk off every fucking day. In my
You should.
opinion.
It's true. You actually, scientifically, you should. It keeps you healthier. It keeps your sperm in
And
better
that
shape, more
object
mobile.
in motion stays in motion. All
There
that.
you go. Yeah. There's the science. Follow the science. Your sperm are following the science, man.
That's just healthy in general. But what do I know? I don't know. I'm just a weirdo. Well, we could end it on that sexual talk.
that works for me.
I
Going
love
out on going down.
it. Yeah.
No, sorry for coughing right there at the end of the show. Well, yeah, thanks. It was a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime.
I'm guessing a lot of Mises people listen to the show, so I want to remind everybody that while Mark is a valued friend and a valued member of the Lions of Liberty Foundation, he is no longer with the show. So if you hate, quit, unsubscribed after Mark had posted,
He had some
and complained.
personal stuff going on, didn't he?
He did.
And I noticed that when people would post certain shit on Twitter, I'm like, you have some personal stuff going on. I think.
I don't know. It was just odd. It was like he just got into it with some people. He took stuff a little personally, I think.
Yeah.
And but again, Mises people weren't wrong. The timing of his post wasn't ideal. But to remind everybody, come on back now. You hear? If you would, hate, quit, get over it. Fucking come back here, because both Odie and I, John Odermatt, my buddy, we are both Mises people. I'm a dues-paying member. And as you said, come back, support your boy. He might be running for governor in a few years for Mises.
Yeah. Because you're in a town or in California, right?
Yeah, I'm in California, and Hawthorne is where I live. And,
is it around LA?
Yeah, I'm just below the airport.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in LA County. Yeah.
You might as well do it just for fun. All the Colorado, we have 80 people here who are running in Colorado. Even I'm like, hell yeah, just to do it,
And I could dominate those people. I'll be like,
but none of them
Peterson.
were allowed to the fucking debates on the local news station. They didn't reach out to a single libertarian, but they're all about democracy. And I'm like, yeah,
of course not.
No,
it's horse shit. My buddy Odie ran a campaign for a guy named Dale Kearns in Pennsylvania, and wouldn't get it, couldn't debate. A guy agreed to debate, pulled out, couldn't get any local coverage. Yeah, it's completely rigged.
And they're like all the GOP candidate for governor out here. She doesn't want to debate on the news station because she hates the news station. But I'm like, they were making a big deal about that, and I'm like, you guys could go fucking talk to the libertarian. You could bring the libertarian on. No.
Of course.
And it was started in fucking Colorado. Libertarian Party was started in Colorado. Like, it's so stupid. It's all dumb, but whatever. We're getting there. If voting and that shit is real, I'll try it. We'll try it, right? Like, I don't really think it is.
And that is a big question. Is it real?
We can prove it. All right, Brian, do you have any more plugs? Or,
Lions of Liberty Network. Yeah, the Lions of Liberty Network has my show on Wednesdays, John Odermatt's Finding Freedom on Mondays, and Fridays, Robbie and I were doing Hate Watch. He's at Skankfest right now, so we're not doing it this week, but we'll probably do another episode next week.
You are the Hillary Clinton one?
Yeah, that's the Hillary Clinton one. We talked about some news shit, and then we Hate Watch Gutsy with Hillary and Chelsea. Mean Age Daydream, got a solo feed if you don't want to be on the network. And also, I do a podcast that's just comedy called The Boring, BOHRING podcast. So it's just good time laughs. We do that every other week.
All right. Hacks, you got any more plugs you want to push?
All of my links are in the description. Thanks, producer Paul. If you're a regular, you know where to go.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Music, hit Hex up. All right, I think we're good. We're good. Thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody.
Guys.
Bye.